Bare necessity, but simple bare necessity. Bare necessity, but simple bare necessity.
Hey there, it's Brie Bear and welcome to today's video. Today I am just feeling like talking about some books, so ignore the mess that I am, but I just needed to chill and chat about books. So that's what we're gonna do in a kind of bookish update, reading recent reads thing. So, I've also changed my setup for the room as well. So I may or may not continue to use this chair. It is a rocking, it's my computer chair. I may continue to use this for filming purposes, but we shall see. As it does rock, it kind of makes that noise there. So I may end up having to change it out, but today we're using it. So, okay. I'm just going to talk about everything I've read so far this year. This video is going to be it's not planned. I haven't even written reviews for everything yet. I've only written reviews for, graphic novels. So this is not going to be very, like, super organized or anything like that, or super structured. But I'm going to keep my thoughts kind of brief because I do have several books to talk about since I haven't talked about any of the things that I've read so far this year. So, there's a lot of different areas that I've been spending a lot of time in. And reading has been the thing that has suffered the most. It's okay. But it does mean that I haven't read a ton this year. I haven't even gone through and written out reviews for any books yet except for graphic novels. And even then, I have not been very critical so far, or like those aren't in-depth reviews, that's what I mean. Like, I haven't been very, not critical, that's not the word I'm looking for, very there's a word for what I want to say, eloquent. I haven't had very eloquent reviews written out so far this year. I kind of want to go back to doing them because I think they're good to have in the back pocket down the road, especially for me to reference my own written out review, but also it sounds like a lot of work. And I kind of put off writing out my reviews, and that's what pushes back my reading updates for like recent reads and stuff the most, is my reviewing process is like the main thing that's pushed those back every single time. So I don't know. We'll see. Let me know what your thoughts are on that. I started this year with the very long process of completing a book that I started last year, which is Queen of Air and Darkness by Cassandra Clare. This book is ginormous and took forever to read because not just the length, but also because I had to start it and then pause it to finish my reading challenge for the end of 2021. So I didn't finish it until now, this year. So it's not my favorite conclusion to a Cassie Clare trilogy. I think it's my least favorite conclusion that she's done so far. But I didn't hate it. It wasn't my favorite of her conclusions. And partially that is because these characters are not my favorite of the Shadowhunter like families that we kind of followed. This cast is not my favorite. I did have quite a lot of feelings. I sent a lot of pictures to Cal as I was reading this. The next book is one by a kind of controversial author, but they're dead, so there's also that. I did not know that this author said dumb things until after I owned the whole set of their works, though, and that is Rollin All. And this is the BFG, which this was the first time for me. I had never read or watched the BFG. There are other works of his that I read as a kid, but this one is not one of them. And so I have to say, I thought it was pretty cute in concept. All in all, cute. I did not sense anything particularly red flag-ish in this. Okay, next we have Where the Drowned Girls Go by Shawnee McGuire. This is the seventh book in the Wayward Children. Definitely an improvement from the last installment. The last installment was my least favorite so far, not because it was inherently bad, but because it was kind of unnecessary feeling. We got all this backstory for a character that we did not know anything else about. And the other thing to me is that the way that this kind of was going, I don't remember exactly how it ended, but I have a feeling it is possible that character will not even come up again. This installment, though, I feel like really developed the world a bit more in terms of not behind the doors or like on the other side of the doors, but like our world with the doors existing, if that makes sense. Like Miss Eleanor's world, if that makes sense. Like the world that she, you know, where she has a school. Next was a reread, and that is No One Here Is Lonely by Sarah Everett. This was the Avengers group book for WandaVision, and definitely was not a favorite for everybody. I understand that completely. The main reason that I felt like it was a good choice was because of how it kind of compares to Wanda's story and Wanda's situation in WandaVision. So for that reason, that's the main reason I recommended it. Not necessarily because I think it's an everybody book. Because it's a YA contemporary, it's not going to be everybody's cup of tea. I completely appreciate that. For me, the reason that this book is so special to me is because of some of the things that this main character goes through. Not necessarily like the romantic elements or like the loss part, but more what she goes through in regards to her parents' relationship and what's going on there. That is the thing that I feel like keeps this book as a, you know, something that stays close to my heart, is just because of that element where it's something that I literally relate to so hard. It's very similar to, in some ways, to some of the things that I experienced, and for that reason, like, I can't help but love this book. So it's not objective at all. It's a very personal, you know, thing as to why I like this book. And I, again, totally get why people wouldn't like it, because the characters are intentionally flawed and obnoxious at times. They're, you know, intentionally frustrating, and that's not everybody's thing, especially in YA. So I get it. I'm not annoyed by anybody's opinion. I'm not frustrated by any news, because I actually agree with most of those opinions. Next, I read The Tea Dragon Society by Kate O'Neill, and oh my goodness, guys, I read this during the WandaVision boss battle, and it was one of the best decisions in the entire world. I am obsessed, and I need to get a full set of these 3 books ASAP. They're so precious, so adorable. I am obsessed. I want more graphic novels like this, with this kind of, you know, whimsy, this kind of like vibe, the, you know, coziness, the fantastical, but like, it's perfect. It's literally perfect. I love it so much. So after I read that, I then read Extraordinaries, or no, just Extraordinary. Is it supposed to be pronounced extraordinary or extraordinary? Like, particularly in this context, but also in general. Anyway, I read this. Okay, but I need more before I can confirm whether this is, you know, roll, yeah, good, awesome. I don't know yet, because it's just the first volume and there's not a lot going on here yet. Like, it's very short. So, yay, more content in this series, but also I want more content. So, until I get more content, I can't give a definitive, yeah, I'm behind this. I mean, the art style is pretty cool. Very gory at times. It's not my favorite style of people ever, but it'd be fine. Anyway, so there's that. And then I read the Tea Dragon Festival, which I kind of have already just said I'm obsessed with the whole trilogy, so don't even need to go into that. Then I read this little comic strip thingy called Post-COVID, and it was kind of a letdown for me because it wasn't as informative as I thought it would be. I was expecting it to be more like descriptive of the specific situations that the Postal Service people have experienced due to COVID, but it wasn't really about that so much as about like essential workers in general and like COVID in general. And I mean, so it was okay, but it didn't really tell me anything I didn't already know. And then I read The Girl from the Sea by Molly Knox Ostertag. Ostertag? Yeah, Ostertag. Ostertag? I don't know. Anyway, I read it. It was so cute. But also that ending. That ending! We couldn't have at least gotten like one panel at the end to like confirm. Just one panel. Not even words. Just a picture. Would have been satisfactory. That's all I'm saying. After that, we went into what I read during my Trash or Try vlog that I put out during Veda. So you can watch that to get a little bit more info on some of these. But we have the 3 Pillow Thoughts poetry collections, which was definitely a good time rereading it. I remembered them more critically, or like my memories of them were more critical than my rereads were, so that was good. I enjoyed them more upon reread than I was anticipating. So then we have Vaultathon, and I had a Vaultathon vlog at the beginning of Veda, so you can go watch that as well, during which I read The Fruit of the Drunken Tree by Ingrid Roja Contreras, guessing. And it was okay. I understand the importance of this story for the author, and I can appreciate some elements of it, but I feel like there were some execution mistakes. Especially in particular because of the kind of I think the main thing for me was there was no difference between the 2 characters we were following the perspective of, and that was definitely frustrating for me. There was no clear difference in their views or the way they discussed their experiences, that kind of thing, and that would have really bumped this book up a lot. And again, I feel like the way that the 7-year-old perspective was given was not super accurate feeling. Like, it didn't feel extremely 7-year-old to me. Like, somewhat and in a few ways, but not as much as I would have liked. So yeah. There's a live show talking about that. So if you want more thoughts from me and other people, then go watch that. I also continued this book and then finished it at another time. But I continued our Violin Ends during Vaultathon, and then I finished it afterwards. And I have to say that I thought this was not bad. I feel like the duology was a little bit drug out in some ways. While I enjoyed the angst of it, I feel like in general it was just kind of a little bit more stretched out than it necessarily needed to be. Particularly like the world related things felt a little bit like either too drawn out or too rushed. Like, I hope that makes sense. Because it was like every time we were talking about like the world or the political elements, it felt either it was kind of like pulled out, and it wasn't like we were shown. It was like told, which is not necessarily always a bad thing, but I feel like it was every time that those elements were discussed, it had to be told because of the time restraints. Or because of the fact that it was like trying to reiterate something that it tried to show but didn't fully show in some elements. I don't know. The duology overall is cute. I could have gone without it, but I could have gone with it longer too. I think the main thing for me is that we did get a little bit more of Shanghai in this one, but that's the thing that I wanted the most, was that 1920s Shanghai setting to come through a bit more. I think that's my biggest my biggest disappointment with the duology overall. I'm on my last book, and that is Tristan Strong Punches a Hole in the Sky. This was our group book for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and this is a middle grade, and it is told in first person. It's kind of got that storytelling, you know, somebody's telling you a story, like sitting down and telling you something that happened to them. It's like that, like somebody's literally sitting and telling you, okay, this happened, and then this happened, and oh my gosh, then this happened. You know, it's kind of like that kind of vibe. Somewhat throughout it. For me, the main thing that I feel like I struggled with was the pacing, particularly towards the beginning. I feel like it settled and it paced a lot better in the second half, but that first like 100 pages I feel like needed a little bit more adjustment, because we meet this character, and then before we even figure out what his normal life is like, he's whisked away somewhere totally different to then literally arrive there, go to sleep, and get whisked away again. So we never get to see what Tristan Strong's actual normal is, and so then we have nothing to base any of, you know, the change off of, because like we don't get to, I guess that's the thing, is like we don't have a new world, old world shift in this, which typically happens like towards the end of the first act and the beginning of the second act is usually where you're gonna see that, you know, whatever happened at the end of the first act, that plot point one, that big turning point in the story that shifts and moves the story forward, and then you move into act two. You start at act two with like some kind of, you know, okay, this is our new normal, this is our new world, this is what life is like now. And so I feel like because that kind of part of the plot points was pushed so far forward, it kept us from kind of getting to know Tristan without being in these extreme circumstances. Like, we didn't have that opportunity. We didn't get to know him at all before we saw him chasing after Gum Baby, trying to get the journal back. And even then, we didn't really get to know him until he's talking to all of these adults, telling them why the journal matters and blah, 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 and why he's there. And, like, so it's, to me, that is, I think, the biggest complaint I have. And the reason that is a complaint to me is because it made it hard to get into the story, because we weren't invested in Tristan as a character from the get-go. Not because he's a likable character, but we didn't have anything to go off of about him until we got around that 100-page mark and he started to speak his mind about some things, and then he started to get this magic that was very, or you know, gain some new abilities that were very intriguing and different and cool, all this stuff. And so once we started to get into that point, like from the 100 pages on, it was a lot better. But those first 100 pages did not do it for me. Because of that, I just feel like some of the beats were a bit misplaced. And some of the plot points were just a bit misplaced from what I felt. But again, that could be different for other people. So, I'm not even going to go back and try to give synopses for any of these. I'm just going to leave them how they are. Let me know if you do want me to give a synopsis for the books. In my recent reads videos in the future, I shouldn't have as many books, so if you do want those in the future recent reads videos for the rest of the year, let me know. If you want me to give more information like I previously did in my recent reads videos or my wrap-ups in previous years where I gave like a lot of different information thingies about the books, let me know. But if you like it more like this chatty, like chill vibe where I just kind of like talk about things and like maybe I can add a synopsis and then my thoughts, then let me know. Just let me know which one you prefer. Because if I do this way and like keep these videos a bit more chill, then I can even still go back and do my review in more depth, but not worry about actually giving all those thoughts here, and then just direct you to Goodreads if you want more in-depth thoughts on any specific book. So let me know your thoughts on that. I have some videos from Veda that I didn't end up getting to get posted. So you will be seeing a couple of those because I already have them filmed. So I'm going to post them, obviously. Thank you guys so much for watching. I hope you have a great rest of your day or night, whatever time it is for you. And make sure you hit the subscribe button and the notification bell down below so that you'll be notified every time I post a new video. But most importantly, so that I can see you guys again very soon. Peace out, Bear Scouts.
About your worries and your stress. I mean it, bare necessity. That's why a bear can rest at ease with just a bare necessity.